This is a program that's put on by, in conjunction with the teaching award winners and with CTL. And the idea is just to bring some of our top teachers from across campus together to discuss different issues and actually, as the name says, catalyze conversation. So this is not meant to be a monologue, it's meant to be interactive. So let me just introduce our panel today on balancing the home and profession. So we have Adrienne Wright from Biochemistry, Dominic Sauvageau from Chemical and Materials Engineering, and David Chorney from Secondary Education. Now, I've just done exactly what we always do. I've defined all of them by their career. So what I'm actually going to ask them to do is now introduce sort of their background, both about their family and about their careers. Maybe Adrienne?
So I did, I'm from Ireland originally, and then I went to England to my master's, and then I luckily got to come to Alberta to do my PhD. And at that time, my supervisor gave me a chance to do 2 lectures, and I realized with this teaching stuff, I really loved it. But I truly felt doing a PhD, I probably should go into research. That's what I was being trained for. So I went down to Memphis to do a postdoc, and after about 6 months, I realized this is not what I wanted to do. I was working hard, and I didn't enjoy the hard work. So I realized at that point I didn't want to do research for my career. So that was my first stopping for a moment and seeing how is my work-life balance. This is the career I didn't want. And I came back to Alberta, and I got very lucky. I was allowed to do sessional teaching at King's and Concordia. And then I just happened to get very lucky to get back to UofA and get a job teaching. And in that time I had a family, and I loved to work out, so I had all these competing things in my life, young children, setting up a house, new job as a teacher, and I wanted to do everything well. And I realized I couldn't do everything well, and at that point I kind of decided working out was going to take a back seat. It was very stressful to make that decision that I was just going to concentrate on family and work. And that's what I did, and then, you know, your job starts to get secure and you feel comfortable, and then I realized now I can go back to working out a little bit, and so I didn't have to work so hard at my job. And then you kind of get a little bit more senior, and all of a sudden work becomes critical again. So I find it's been, the balance has not been at each time doing all things equally, but realizing when I need to concentrate on different parts of my life. And it's still a work.
And how old are your kids?
I have a 17-year-old, which is challenging, and I have a 14-year-old and an 11. So I'm kind of getting there.
Hi, my name is Dominic. I would like to start by saying that I'm very bad at balancing life and work. So my message to this, not so much, but I'm very happy doing what I do. And so I guess my point is, it's not so much about balance, but it's more about managing things. But we'll get more into that later, I'm sure. So I grew up in Quebec, northeastern Quebec, a very isolated town. Moved to Montreal for my graduate studies. Did my master's and PhD there. And following my PhD, I was part of a startup company for 1.5 years where there was absolutely no question of a work-life balance. I enjoyed it a lot, but it was a time in my life where I was very, very focused on getting things to work on one dimension, I'd say, or 2 dimensions, but it was a lot of work, and but a great time. But at one point, I wanted to come back into academia, and so after 1.5 years, I was lucky enough to be hired here. So I joined in 2011, and I've been very happy here. I have one 2.5-year-old who is an agent of chaos, and I have a second one on the way. And
Good afternoon, everybody. My story starts in the beautiful province of Saskatchewan. I'm a rural Saskatchewan farm boy who ended up at UofS. I'm a B.Ed and B.A. from UofS, and I began my teaching career in northern Saskatchewan in the community of L'Orange. And I spent 7 years there as a young teacher. I began when I was 21. And at the age of 26-ish, I kind of wanted a little bit more for myself. I didn't know what. I thought maybe administration in the school, but I knew I wanted a master's degree. And after looking at not a lot of places, UofA stuck out prominently for me through the advice of some colleagues in the province, and I came here in '98. I was fortunate to be accepted and became, within 2 years, got a master's degree in curriculum instruction with a phys ed specialization. At the conclusion of my master's here in 2000, I got an opportunity to teach at the University of Regina. all this time I was single by myself, and seemingly had a lot more money to myself, a lot more time to myself, and it was a good time in my life. Remember that time? Upon going to Regina, though, I just met my wife, and so being in Regina, I was like I said, I was dating her, and then I got engaged, and then I was working as a instructor there, but working real hard. Now I'd been getting paid, for example, much better in Mirage when I was a teacher, and teaching 6 courses, supervising students out in the field, trying to balance my girlfriend, fiance from here. And she was never going to move to Regina. So, long story short, I applied back to Edmonton, got into the Department of Secondary Education once again, and pursued my doctorate. And within a year of being back here, I got an opportunity to go to Lethbridge, and started down there, taking my wife, and at that time she was pregnant with our twins, and she cried all the way to Lethbridge, 5 hours, leaving her mom and family here, and going to a city where we knew nobody, but hey, I had a job, and I studied hard for it. She was supported that way. Again, 4 years go by. In 2007, an opportunity came across, and these opportunities, I think as we all discussed, sometimes don't cross your path, if you will, many times in one's career. And so the job that I have now, to be able to come back here was very appealing. And so in a competitive process, and Dr. Lash was back in Peru. She was part of my hiring committee at that time, and I had known Alenka as a graduate student, and for whatever reason they thought I was okay, and they hired me, and that was back in 2007. So to now, I'm a father of 4 children. The twins are now 11 and a half. Our second son, third child, is 8 and a half, and our youngest is 5 and a half. And it's, chaos and such. I mean, we'll talk more about how we try and balance this all, but that's my story for now.
I think that leads into kind of what I think the next topic was, just sort of what are some of the things you found that allow you to balance the two? And as Adrienne said, I think it's going to change as you go different stages. So, pick or choose whatever stage you want. But David, you want to go first on that?
Well, when you start as a professor, when we were obviously all graduate students, we know what that life is. Is anybody here who's a graduate student right now? Yeah. You feel your pain, so to speak. It's a good time in your life, and you're obviously pursuing graduate degree because of higher learning knowledge, perhaps you want a post-secondary academic life. That was arguably more of for me, one of the most stressful times in my life, because you're kind of in a quasi-land. You leave a job or a profession to go to graduate school where you need to get that done to get on to the next stage in your life. So there's a lot of pressure, so to speak, there. And for myself, what worked for me, I think, is that I was single, I was by myself, and I was able to dedicate all my time, however I chose to dedicate time, to the things that I needed to do for me. And I didn't have a dependent. Now, obviously, a wife, a husband, a partner, kids, my scenario doesn't apply to you, but that's what worked for me as well. I really want to get my education done quickly and fast. So upon getting my first job, that whirlwind of trying to prove yourself, proving to everybody that you were worthy of being hired, and then the pay you're getting and the expectations are upon you. And so I worked real hard in the early stages of my career, that some of my colleagues are and have as well. When family came into it, and for me, I think the biggest tipping point maybe was just at the stage of tenure promotion. Again, you're working hard all those years, there's not really any drop off, but we're heading towards that focus of tenure promotion. Then once you achieve it, you think, or at least I thought, it's going to be, okay, hey, there we go. Not so much, because it's just one more hurdle. And now you're an associate professor, you're tenured. There's a certain security with that, but there's also a whole lot of extra responsibilities and expectations that others have upon you. And I don't want to ever let myself down or my colleagues, so just keep working harder. But there is that sense of, I don't want to say security, there's that sense of, I've done that. And now maybe I need to refocus myself a bit, and that is on my wife and my kids, because I don't want to be the kind of dad where as the years go by, they say, you weren't there, Dad. You're never going to write enough articles, you're never going to get enough grant money, you're never going to create the best ever course syllabus and course ever.